Kind of entrance that you would make out of a snow match. Cool, calm and collected, not showing a great deal of emotion, but ready to play.
Well, I think you know, the combined pulse rate of these two great Filipinos is in the low 20s, and you're not going to faze them with an entrance no matter what. And they've been here before, and I think that they're excited, but they're in control of themselves, and that's why they are two of the greatest players that have ever held a 9-ball pool cue. And Efren Reyes there, well, a millimetre out on the leg, he'll be upset with that.
Well, control is the key, isn't it? Control of the 9-ball. If you can control it and take it down when it needs to be, you'll be on cloud 9 because you'll be through to the final. But it is an interesting factor that both these players, especially in the case of Bustamante, who looks up to Efren Reyes, as do many of the players,
yes,
as the big hero. What's the psychology here? How are they going to play that? Because they must know each other's games extremely well.
Well, I assume that at one stage Reyes was the master and Bustamante was the pupil. I don't know the whole history of how they developed. But of course Bustamante's gone on to bigger and greater things. You would then think that there's the possibility that Bustamante would have moved on a gear and perhaps Efren Reyes would fold once Bustamante got away from him. But at this game it's not exactly the same as other sports, and it's more knowledge than anything else. And this guy's certainly got the knowledge. So I think we're in for a cracking game. I don't think that Bustamante is absolutely guaranteed to win. And if anybody gets off to a flying start, that could be the telling blow.
Positionally, he's looking okay for this first rack.
Yes, it doesn't seem to be a problem. I would imagine that 4-ball squeezes past the orange 5. He's got to be careful if he moves the 5 where the balls are going to end up. There's any problem there, I would think. And this is a nice, cosy start for Efren Reyes. His match is now getting longer. Both players, I would imagine, would relish the final, the chance to really expand themselves. But a race to 11 is a fair test, and I'm sure these players are delighted that they get a fair crack.
Bustamante was in the studio here last night and said that he'd never actually beaten Efren Reyes in the Philippines, which of course is so important to both these men. He'd beaten them in the States. As we know, these pitchers are going to the Philippines, so this would be the time, knowing that the people in the Philippines are watching, to do it. But and I'm sure both players are aware of that fact.
Well, that's a mark. Is it live out there at the moment?
Not live, I don't think.
Well,
but
it'll still draw massive crowds, and yeah, a great chance for Bustamante to prove himself. It's not going to be easy, I know. This guy is such a legend, he's a god out in the Philippines, and quite rightly so. You can get out of jail from any position on a pool table.
Well, both these men learnt their trade in the pool halls of Manila and around the Philippines, and now they've brought it to a worldwide audience and have taken on the rest of the world, including the best Americans. They've beaten all those, and now they've got to beat each other. And Efren Reyes, as cool as you like, as Steve mentioned. Very low pulse rate, I would have thought, between the two of them. No fear, no worries. Done it all before. But the pressure, the thought of the idea of being the world champion must have something in the back of the mind that niggles you when you're at this stage.
Well, yes, and it would be a great psychological boost for Efren Reyes, who I don't think travels to the States as much as Bustamante, to actually sort of steal this world championship and make his mark and once again strike fear into the hearts of all the players. I suppose as years go on, then I would imagine people think, well, perhaps there's a new generation coming through, and even though Efren Reyes was great, his time has gone. But this would just put him back right there in the spotlight. Good break off again, and Bustamante yet to come to the table.
Very true. Efren Reyes is off and running. He's 1-0 up, and he's well underway in this second rack. Let's join our commentary team now. Thanks, Steve. Of Jim Weish and Sid Waddell.
Thanks so much, lads, and excellently set up. The old maestro and the world's #1 player who was formerly his pupil, and taking up that point about the rack slightly higher because the yellow one was going into the middle bags. Reyes, last time out, stuttered a bit, could not get a productive break. Now, if he comes to terms with a higher racking, which he seems to have done, Those of us who stuck out our long Anglo-Saxon necks could get the heads chopped off. I tip Bustamante here because he can slaughter the break. That was based on how Efren struggled with his break. That I think could be the factor. If Efren gets a productive break, 1 or 2 even, this could be absolutely down to the wire.
Well, what a horrid miss from Reyes there. He didn't leave himself enough angle, and he knew it. But watch this. Just trying to pinch that pocket, and as big as they might be, sometimes you take liberties, and that one came up to bite Reyes.
Massive crowd here. Came and really got their bellies boiling when Jimmy White was playing. And maybe there's a few couples pool fans here in Cardiff. We're going to call that kid Reese Griffiths. We'll now maybe call him the kid Francisco Efren Griffiths in a few months' time, because these two blokes have certainly captured the public's imagination here in South Wales. Django, genius, cordial off the pitch, killer on that white surface. With the whites on the blow. No fear in queuing and hurling the queued shots, Jim.
Well, certainly in terms of shot making, he may well have no equal in the world. Francisco Bustamante, in most people's minds, players and fans alike, the best player on the planet today. And Bustamante, by virtue of that horrid miss from Reyes, takes the second rack. But he had to make a couple good shots to get over the finish line in it. A great 7 there.
Referee Michaela Tab racks them up. Only 5-3. There were about 6 players at a straight run. They played 5-1-5 in that first round. Easy cancelling. Ramby, that was a dice out. 9-8. Fabio Petroni matches Buster 4.
Yes, he's just put a little bit of powder on his hands just to keep it nice and loose. The humidity here, they want that cue flowing nice and smooth. He's got a damp rag there as well. Bustamante with a very long, fluid cueing action, and now you're going to see the break that has them all talking.
This is a phenomenon in world sport. Pin back your ears and just look at this for muscular mental coordination.
And the control of the white. Well, that's not going to be as good as you're going to see, but I'll tell you what, it's not bad. He's got a bank shot on the 1 if he decides to take it on. The only problem is he's taken the cue ball away from the blue 2. But another look at the form from Bustamante. Leg, shoulder, the head going up. And everything in motion.
Well, you know, cricketers wear arm guards, hip guards, everything. I think he should wear a kidney guard in regard to where his heel goes. Amazing leg movement.
They're very athletic, these Filipino players. Tremendous talents. They play all cue sports. Well, he's turned down the bank shot, Sid, for the very reason he couldn't stay on the 2.
That looks evil.
Well, I don't know whether or not he's completely snookered Reyes, but at 1-1, from an overhead perspective there, very difficult to tell. 10 years difference between these two. Oh, the eyes of a junkyard dog, Reyes.
Couldn't have put it better myself, as the song said, meaner than a junkyard Tom. This should be a classic, should be one of the great pool games of all time. This, to equal the Fat Man, taking on Fast Eddie Felson.
There's a lot in this match, Sid. A lot of variables. These two, arguably the 2 best players to come out of the Philippines. The pretender to the crown and the king.
Didn't want that double bunt on the cushion. And there is a very sweet looking 4-9 plant at the bottom of the table.
And Francisco doesn't spend much time in the Philippines anymore. He resides in Germany, does most of his playing on the Camel Tour in America, whereas Reyes goes straight back home after events.
Overcut.
Yes, up off the cue very early too, Sid. Usually a sign of just a little anxiousness. And this one's set up for Bustamante again. A bad miss in the second rack cost him. This was a difficult pot, but Reyes would expect to get it.
Right, he is beautifully positioned to get the blue 2 and the red 3, and I suggest maybe he's thinking about plant on the pink.
Well, he's having a look to see if that pink 4 is available bottom left, and I'm not sure it is. And if it isn't, he might be forced to play the combination onto the 9 here. There you can see the relationship of both balls to that corner pocket. I think he may have to play the combination, Sid.
Absolutely, Echo, because of the position of the brown. The brown stops the run through involving the 7, so he's now going to plant the pink onto the 9 for 2-1. And when this guy plants, Titchmarch steps aside. 2-1, Francisco Bustamante.
A great shot here. Never easy to judge. That had to be made. Bustamante starting to assert a little of the favoritism that many thought. Given his breaking power, it's all to play for here in the semifinals. Right now, it couldn't be any better poised, Sid. 2 racks to 1 for Bustamante, and he's breaking off in the 4th rack to try and extend that lead.
And they went to Germany several years ago and made the local pool players keel over in the Kiel area as he blasted them for really big Deutschmarks. Because make no mistake about it, this game is owned on the smell and colour of money.
A dynamite break from Bustamante there. Again, everything moving and pinpoint accuracy on that cue ball. Years of honing that have turned him into a force all over the world.
Yep, how do you get to the Cardiff International Arena? You practice. Left the rail a little more than he would have liked that one, Jim, but the very cute angle of the pocket took it in. Long bridge, no fear. Look at the length of the bridge here. The bridge is about 18 inches long. The control.
Well, Bustamante is yet to hit any bumps in the road. He's had a couple mistakes from Reyes, and he's pounced on both of them.
Jet-eyed predator in action. Cool genius. Bustamante.
He's got something to prove in this one. A man he probably grew up idolizing sits opposite. And Francisco Bustamante wants the throne.
And he's been sitting with Efren having a quiet chat in a Cornish pasty before the game, surrounded by fans. They have autographed every excusable part of the anatomy of some young lads. Heroes in their own country, and I would guess to the 100 million who play this game all over the world. 9-ball pool. A flash game. If you could hit the balls like these guys, you would be the pool hall Richard, as Rod Stewart once sung about. You make me jealous, but I worship you with your high collar and your high heel shoes. Well, takes all sorts of play, but Busty here on so.
Is he ever? An anxious moment on the 8th, but in the end, home and dry. A 2-rack lead and 3-1 now in front in this race to 11. And Bustamante knows that his big weapon is his break, And if he keeps winning racks, he'll be breaking off. But there must have been an anxious moment for that 8.
Hunched there, like a guy just sitting, thinking about having a cigar and a drink and watching his corn grow. 5-3 he did in the early rounds. Best win there, I think, is Suke win. 11-7 there. He ran 8 straight to beat Suke, the former world champion.
Yes, and you'll see there a 9-8 nail-biting win over the world win Jimmy White. He's had a few anxious moments in this tournament too, has Reyes.
I heard murmurs of this man, the great Mike Massey was the first one to mention Bustamante to me when he'd been in a tournament in Vegas, and this guy hit this rack at 43 mile an hour. And he's about 9 stone wet through.
Well, a mistake, the first one from Francisco. And at 3-1 ahead, he'll work that one out, but watch that cue ball. He hit it good, Sid, but the pace of this table just drawing that cue ball into the center pocket. And he was watching it right off the start. Look at his eyes, right on it.
Right, just the lad to run 4 or 5 now, Efren. Crowd absolutely hushed and tense watching this battle of the maestros.
Well, Reyes' patience in his seat, waiting for his opportunity. Finally it comes. Bustamante put 3 racks together with Reyes' miss. Now it's down to Efren to respond. There's no hard work here. It almost looks like he could leave the cue ball in the center of the table. The orange 5 is next. Side cushion to come back down for the 6.
Nice and loose hold on the cue. Starts to stun across for the orange.
Now he's got a choice, Sid. He can either play this left side cushion, right side cushion with a lot of bottom, or run around the table with a lot of inside English on the cue ball. And he's played it the way I thought first. Now he's got to clear the 9. Has he hit it hard enough? Again. I'm sure his heart was in his mouth for a brief instant.
Comes from a pretty rough background in terms of economic considerations. Place called Mexico. Pampanga was brought up in, played money pool from the age of 9. Still plays to take home the bacon, or Philippine equivalent to his family.
Efren had a real character building match en route to this semi-final. Akikumo Toshikawa in the quarters, 11-9 he progressed there, and he really wasn't on song. He's hoping he saved his best when he needed it most. And that's in this one, Sid. Against Bustamante, he will need to be in top gear. He's got to have his A game. He's 3-2 down and breaking in the 6th rack. Taft just ensuring to get the rack exactly right. It's so important. All the balls are touching. The break-off in 9-ball, an integral part to a success ratio from the player that's hitting them.
Yeah, the big thing is not the power. You have to have enough power to make the ball scatter and maybe get the 9 going, but you also must control the white. Ideal place right in the middle.
Both players certainly seem to be breaking an awful lot better today, Sid. Now, I don't know whether Efren can get through to the 1. If he can see enough of it, he may be able to play the combination, but another look at the splash on that diamond of balls. Neither one getting the 9 in gear, though. The 1-8 present a combination or a plant, but can he see enough of the 1 to get it?
Rules are you have to go for the low ball. It's just the one. Plays the intermediate shot. And opens up the whole table now. Looking good for 3-3, Efren.
Only a glaring mistake is going to stop that scoreline. Reyes, at 45 years of age, an icon in the Philippines.
And it must be said, of 96 players who came here, at least 35 players had him down as their paradigm of the game.
Well, he's such a gentleman. Rarely speaks unless spoken to.
Like, will you take a check?
Or cash. And there's a lot of people that Efren has faced off with in the game of 9-ball. I guarantee you said that their pockets thought their hands were crazy. They were digging out their cash so fast.
Well, the game is much more organised. The authorities playing a great role in its worldwide spread, but they're still at edge. We won't use the word hustler because the Americans don't like it. To them it means something to do with cheating. To us, Geordies, just means wide boy, sharp guy. Guy could limbo dance underneath a swing door. Exciting game. Now to be brought to balance. This one could go all the way. This race to 11 between two pool legends coming in with a bit of right-hand side.
And down goes the 9. And Reyes is putting pay to the bad break-off from Bustamante. The Philippine flags are waving, Sid, regardless of the outcome here.
Our other match, a reflection of how strong this game is in Taiwan. Two Taiwan players where there are many professionals and many clubs, and the game is partially, I gather, government sponsored. Not sure the Philippines government sponsor it, but two heroes of the Pacific Rim here.
Both players know the importance of this one. They're playing for $15,000. The loser will go home with that much US. The winner assures himself of $30,000 and a shot at the $60,000 winner's ticket. And Efren, the magician Reyes, winds it up to break off in the 7th rack. Lost the cue ball there. He's been a bit lucky. Does he have a shot at the 1?
Well, it's ominous for Busty because Efren was having all sorts of trouble with his break last time out. Alright, he wrapped 3 in sync on the trot against Sukir, but with this break in, it is enough to handle Bustamante, maybe even to beat him. Stuns the ball into the rail.
He's got a lot of work to do here. Cue ball needs to be on the left-hand side for the red 3 next. You can see the 3 passes only to this pocket. And Reyes, with so much angle on the 2, he may have to play side cushion to try and get back. Or what he could do is try and play the 3 into the center pocket here. That may be his only option. A deep screw with a lot of left-hand side. And position the key here.
Screw it is.
Little short of pace. He needed to be a little further down because the orange 5 is the wrong end of the table for him. The only thing I can see, if he decides to attack, he's got 2 choices. He's either got to bank this and run through with the cue ball, or a deep screw using the 9 with a lot of left-hand side off 2 cushions back for the 5. There you go. That was a much better pot than he made it look.
Well, the magician showing that there's nothing wrong with his wand here. Picking the right time to come good, just as he did the other day against Suke. He was sat in his seat, 7-3 down, cobwebs round his shoes, then suddenly Tinkerbell.
Well, early indications in this one tell me that Efren Reyes came ready for this match. He's made some great shots already. Left himself in very uncomfortable situations, and this one doesn't look to be any different. He's so cautious, he doesn't want to touch that brown. Look at the cue ball power there.
Incredible.
Loaded up with side and swung that white back for the 7. Tremendous shot from Reyes. They label him the magician, and you've just seen an example why. The 9 down, and Efren Reyes has just put together what I think is his best visit in this match thus far. A break and finish, but he had so much work to do. Watch this white bend with the cue power here. Look at it off that cushion.
And look where it leaves on the brown. 4-3 to Reyes the magician.
Yes, there's Efren Reyes. A lot of people feel that the winner of this match will be favorite to hoist the hardware.
Hoist the hardware maybe, but nobody's going to hoist the white flag out there. These two Filipino legends locked into it. I'll echo, the one thing that made me tip up Bustamante was how non-productive Efren's break was. Here we go again. Nowhere near the athleticism
or the power. But still, Sid, he's 4-3 in front, and he hasn't really been hitting the break well. Yet another example again.
And he's usually leaving himself a shot on the 1.
It's always been his weakness. If he does have a chink in his armor, it's the break in 9-ball. If he's potting balls on the break.
But with his cue power and control, to get just 1 ball down from the break is enough. With Bustamante, I've seen him get 5 from the break.
Yes, but have a look the bottom of the table, Sid. A lot of problems. The green 6, the brown 7. That's going to be cause for concern, certainly for Reyes here. If there is to be a roadblock in winning this rack, it's going to come in that form. And the 5 is the wrong end of the table to try and develop it, so he may be forced yet again to play a combination 6 onto the 7.
Into the cushion and screws to give himself a thin flick right, and he's got to get on the green 6 to play the shot that Jim suggested into the 7.
That's exactly what he's looking at right now, just where he wants to leave the cue ball, right in this area. If he comes down too far, then he's going to be playing against the 8. You can see him. He's got a nice angle on that 5 just to bring the cue ball back. This is a big shot here. Very close. That's right about where he wanted to be. Now, not just judging the combination shot here, Sid. He's got to judge where the 6 is going to go to leave it on. And that's just as hard. Big moment right now for Reyes. He's got the bit between his teeth and he wants to keep it there.
Yeah, but with pockets blocked. unless it passes the 9 yet to bring it out that far. Beautiful, because he's cleared a passage past the 9 ball.
I believe he has said, great shot from Efren here. Happy to see that one disappear, and happier again to see a shot on the 6. Well, that pocket haunted him, and with the 6 ball, if you remember in the second rack, it was the 6 he missed into that very pocket, and didn't it think about staying on the table again.
Good go, Dan. Well, looking, pot in. 5-3 to Bata. Number 1 uno. Efren Reyes gets it to rack cushion.
Yes, again, that green 6. His heart definitely skipped a beat there. In the end, he got home and dry, and he's erased a 2-rack deficit and turned it into a 2-rack lead. 4 on the spin.
They could be taking some pretty fat envelopes to Manila.
He's on the 2, a long, difficult 2. And the problem here, position onto the 3. He's not controlling the white ball. Doesn't hit it with near the force Bustamante does, nor does he exercise the same control. And yet, he still finds himself at the table. It's because he doesn't miss.
Now that was a mixture of pride and envy in my co-commentator's voice there. Jim, for my top snooker player. No mean hand at this. Reyes coming in with oodles of left and bottom.
Yeah, Sid, you left out admiration.
Goes without saying, kid.
Now, he just wants to ensure to get up for the orange 5, the 6 available top left, and the combination 8-9. So he doesn't mind being pretty straight here, Sid. This looks perfect again. Just wants to be very close to where the 5 is, just a little below it, off that left-hand cushion.
And the awful thing is that we have seen some scrappy matches, to be blunt, occasionally. People overcome by the occasional off the table or where the rack was, maybe. But I think there's 100 million people playing, and maybe another 10 million going to start after seeing this, but they make it look so easy that when you get the cue stick in your hand and have a go, you realise it ain't.
He makes it look like he could hand that cue over to a guy walking on the street.
Absolutely.
And the combination 8-9 for 6-3. And 5 in a row.
Francisco looks for a while like a kid in detention for only getting 9 out of 10 instead of 10 out of 10. Just sitting there.
Down goes the 9, and Reyes is really starting to motor here in our semi-final. He leads Francisco Bustamante 6 racks to 3.
Gerdit, to put it in the local dialect, there's 2 Filipinos take centre stage. Why not when they're 2 of the greatest in the world? I've been reading in the papers that some of the BBC commentators said that the Open Golf was slightly not given good respect to some of the players and the conditions. Well, we'll never get that from this team. We would pay for the privilege of commentating on this class of pool. Semi-final here between the Magician Reyes against Django Bustamante. Going Reyes' way at the moment. And how, Jim?
Finally, Reyes misses off the break, or did he? No, he got one off the break. And again, half a chance at the 1. I didn't see one go down there, Sid, but obviously one's down. He changes with his break cue. Let's see which one he made. Oh, the brown 7 just feathering into the center.
Here he goes again.
He's off the mark.
And can't see him missing any of these, Jim.
These 2 played in Reno, Nevada in America a couple months ago, and Reyes came out on top there. first went to America in 1984. Was over there gambling under an assumed name. That's just what a legend he was. So well known he couldn't even use his own name.
In Geordieland, that's called a sting.
It's not far off over there, Sid.
And in the last year, he's won the £65,000 Ultimate Pool Challenge,
as well as the World 8-Ball Championship. Anything with 6 pockets, he's a threat.
And he goes to Australia, even the kangaroos zip up.
Would you say he's got the pace of the table?
And the measure, maybe, of Busty. Mind, we all know what can happen if Bustamante gets on there. He could run 6 or 7. Might not get out the seat, though. Remember, this guy was 7-3 down to Suke, and then he got out of the seat. And Ryan Navaplu ran 8 to win.
A little short of where he wanted to be. Intended to just draw that cue ball back another 8 to 12 inches, I think, Sid. Make his job a little easier. This still shouldn't pose any problems for him. Just around the
side, around, and looking good for 7-3.
Not the conventional way to play position, but effective.
Come on. And I would agree with Steve Davis' point earlier on that in snooker there are just some things you do not even think of doing. In this, the mind boggles at what's possible with a great player.
6 racks in a row. Efren the Magician Reyes, 7-3 now in front of Francisco Bustamante. And Sid, I believe the bookmakers were favoring Bustamante decidedly in this one. 7-4 on. Pretty tough to score when you don't get to the table.
But if he did get to the table, he could run 6 or 8. No bother.
And lest we forget, it was nothing more than a lax break-off from Francisco that parked him in his chair for 6 racks. The response from Reyes. Lost the cue ball into the center pocket, and since then, he's had no chance to reply. The cruelest of games. And he's suffering.
Rack 11, Reyes to break, leading 7 racks to 3.
Yeah, it makes bullfighting seem like pat a cake, bakers, man. This is a very cruel game. You can be on form on your day, but if the other guy dominates the table...
That was his best break, and the first time he doesn't have a shot on the lowest numbered ball. He finally kept the cue ball in the middle. Didn't get a shot on a low ball. The 2 is the one he would like to have seen set up over a pocket.
And nobody's saying anything about where the rack is, how high it is now. And he's also getting the middle ball, getting the one to go in the middle. There's several factors looking very ominous for Bustamante here. Not least the scoreline, 7-3 down.
Well, one thing about it, Francisco's been shut out for so long, someone may have to remind him what the rules are.
Now, I remember years ago the great Leighton Rees, he's probably watching this at Pontypridd. He was captain of a 3-man Welsh team, and I said, what's the team talk? He said, win. Just win. It's about the psychology that Francie... You don't need no more psychology than the bludgeon here. If you get up, you've got to run 6 or 7. What an ask if he does indeed get out of the seat. Oh, what a shot! Absolute brilliance by the maestro, brings the crowd really. Oh, what a shot! He wasn't on for the first time, and he put that in like a tracer bullet.
The only problem is he's got an equally difficult shot here against the 3, a very fine cut. And look at him spin that in around the back of the 4. This is phenomenal stuff.
Well, Merlin the Wizard used to cast a few spells down on the banks of the Taff. This is a wizard at work, weaving magic with that wand of wood.
The form that Efren Reyes is showing us right now is unbelievable, Sid. This is the stuff that legends are made of right here.
World semi-final against a guy who most people rate the best player in the world, Francisco Bustamante. And this man is doing just what he did to Suke, stringing them together like a blind fisherman mending a net. Experienced dominant here. Sometimes he wields the rapier, sometimes the skein do. Sometimes it's as fine as the smallest darning needle. Precision, immaculate control. Meanwhile, Busty sits and contemplates, forgets the rules.
Well, this is the first time I've had the pleasure of seeing someone use that cue like a magic wand. But this is something to behold, the way he's playing right now. He is in the zone. 8-3, 7 racks in a row. And even when it looks like he's got to pull something out, he's equal to it.
Gets good when I was preparing for the Moscone Cup, and it's like the whisper, must have been the whisper across Europe and the early history of the Huns. The word Attila rang out, and the word that rang out then was Strickland. Then they started to talk about Efren Reyes. People said, hey, you've seen nobody till you've seen Reyes. Well, here we are in Cardiff, and what a time to show the likes of me and Jim and the rest of the world why he's talked of in hushed tones in this game.
The long one, and he's going to be bridging right over the 4 ball. He's 5 racks clear, so certainly he's got to be feeling comfortable. He's got to be in that zone right now, where a lot of the initial pressure and nerves are gone. He almost stalks the ball, Sid.
And interesting fact in the makeup of pool players is they, I wouldn't say they were grudging in praise, but they do not dish it out lightly. And I don't think any sport I've ever covered, from darts to domino toppling, have I ever heard of anybody talked of in the venerable terms of this man. He is an all-round legend.
Well, he's just given us an example that he does in fact have a pulse, and he is human. The first slight mistake in position, he's got to come up with a great shot here to get from the 3 to the 4.
You were saying, Jim,
never doubted it for a minute. Now it almost looks like he can pot this and screw between the 9 and the 6. Off the side cushion, back out for the orange 5. And certainly if Francisco even gets a chance, and the way Reyes is playing, I don't know if anyone thinks we're going to see Bustamante play another shot in this. But he's been sat down for so long, how could he possibly feel like he still had a touch for the table, his concentration level? It almost looks like he's playing every shot with Reyes to try and maintain that high focus that these players need. And I suppose in one sense, he has to do that, Sid. He's got to maintain that and hope and pray almost for that one mistake to let him back in.
doesn't look like coming though, because he ran a very similar game. He did 8 racks from 7-3 down to beat Suke. This then for 9-3 to put him 2 away from the final. Bustamante scratched off a break. And now the maestro is 9-3 up. Can Busta answer? Will he get a chance?
Professional pool for over 30 years. I've seen the greatest players that ever lived, and I've never seen an exhibition like we're seeing right now. I am just thrilled that Sky Sports is putting this out right now, because you out there that are watching this match, you are seeing the master of all time play his best game. This is beautiful.
Francisco Bustamante led this match 3 racks to 1. He scratched off of the break. Little was he to know that he is still not had another chance to get back to the table, and he is trailing 9 racks to 3. Efren Reyes, the magician, only needs 2 more racks to book his place in the final.
You know, John, you and I were sitting out there in the stands watching the first part of this match, and I've just never seen anything like it. This is why he is probably the greatest 9-ball player, the greatest pool player that ever lived.
Doesn't play on all of the world tournament scene now, though, Efren Reyes. He still has that respect. We've said that throughout this week. 96 players came here for this tournament, and the majority of them put Efren Reyes as their favorite player.
Well, at the beginning of this match, I was saying to you, John, that what this is about for Efren is to assert once again his supremacy as the #1 player in the Philippines. There's a lot more at stake here than money. But at this point, he's asserting his supremacy as the best player on the planet.
It is very much like a master with his pupil, though. Francisco Bustamante is well regarded as the current best 9-ball player in the world, but there's nothing he can do against this. This is just a lesson from his previous master, is it not?
This is the best 9-ball I've ever seen on TV. And I was there racking the balls when Earl Strickland ran the 11 racks. He didn't play this good. He made 4 9-balls on the break. These have all been runouts from the break. Several of the racks have been extremely difficult racks.
That's a very good point there, Jay. We have seen a lot of good runs in this tournament, a lot of the time when the balls are breaking easily. Now, the balls aren't breaking easily here, but Efren is making some very, very difficult runouts look supremely easy.
He ran out a rack there earlier where he had to bank that 2-ball off the end rail. There was no shot. How he found that shot, I have no idea.
This is just heavenly pool. This to go within 1 rack of a final place. Down goes the 9. Efren Reyes continues this almost certainly best ever run of 9-ball ever televised. Continues.
Without doubt. Without doubt. This is a keeper, this tape, for all time. You'll never see better 9-ball play than what you're seeing right now.
3-1 he trailed. Francisco Bustamante, well regarded as the current best 9-ball player in the world, scratched and has not got back to the table in the last 9 racks. Just 1 more rack to finish what would be surely the best run out of all time.
I've never seen an exhibition like this. This is just amazing.
Efren Reyes to break, leading 10 racks to 3.
Jay, if he can make this, how important would this be?
If he runs 10 racks and out, I mean, I don't know what to say about this one, John. I'm speechless. This is the best pool I've ever seen by far. And I've seen Earl at his best. Well, he's got to come with a combination now, right from the beginning.
That's
the
right.
1-7.
This could be the shot. I think he can see enough of the 1 to play the combination. But this is not easy.
Believe me, at this point, Efren's not looking for any safeties. He's just shooting. If he makes this combination, it's all over.
Well, the crowd appreciating that run was just a phenomenal run from Efren Reyes. Bustamante smiles as he comes to the table.
You think he can run 8 racks right back at him? That would be something.
Jay, if that was to happen, what sort of a match would we be watching? He's definitely got a great chance of running this rack.
He's been sitting in that chair for 45 minutes. I'm surprised he can get up to the table at all. Well, these players saved their best for the last, John.
Incredible games so far. Francisco Bustamante comes to the table. The last time he was at the table, he was winning 3 racks to 1. He had the break. He was feeling pretty confident, in a good mood. Yeah, I'm in control here. Lost the white ball off of the break. And the next time he comes, he finds himself 7 racks down.
You know, Efren's been struggling all week. He did have that one match where he ran 7 racks, but he's been kind of spotty in his play. He's saved his best for last. This is vintage Reyes right now.
That's right, Joe. We had heard throughout. Efren had struggled all through the group stages, his early knockout games. He was just doing enough to get through, but he hadn't really had that fluency that Francisco Bustamante had been showing in the tournament. But every single player I spoke to said, just don't be surprised. Just do not be surprised if he just switches and turns on and runs a match. Well, we've seen it twice from Efren Reyes. You never know, though, it might not have even been enough in this match.
Come up a little tough here on the 1 ball, John.
Yeah, he got the power, but you could see there he got a little deep into the cue ball, and that means that he hasn't been able to stop the cue ball into the center-ish of the table. It's come back and really has left him no shot on the 1.
He wants to shoot the 1 ball all the way down in the lower right corner. Like, can I show you on this one here? All the way down here into this corner. That's where he wants to shoot the 1. He doesn't really want to play safe here.
Well, there just is no safety against these two guys.
He did play it safe.
That looks safe, but don't be surprised if Efren just kicks out of this and pots it and clears out and runs again.
Frankly, I'm surprised he didn't shoot at the ball, because I don't think you really want to let Efren come back to the table anywhere. Efren will kick 3 rails and hit this ball. But the brilliance of Efren will go here, there, and here and hit this ball. But Efren not only plays to hit the ball here, John, he plays to knock the 1 ball away and leave the cue ball hidden somewhere behind other balls. That's how clever he is and how skilled he is. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. And as you can see, he didn't leave Francisco a shot.
Well, I think Francisco might be forced into, or tempted by the bank here, into the top left-hand bag. I think he needs to take this opportunity.
He's either banking or he's cutting it in the upper right corner. He may cut it straight down the table here, right along the rail. Just like that. Missed it rather badly, actually.
Well, Jay, I think that was possibly a harder shot than the bank there. The bank would clearly pass. Chance here for Efren. I mean, there's no easy shot, but he could bank the ball back into the side bag. So what he's looking at, to come bring the white around the table? No, it doesn't look like he is. He might be banking it into the top left-hand corner. Well, that's safety.
Another safety.
Safety.
Another safety.
Yes. He doesn't need to take chances, of course. Efren already 10 racks to 4.
Yeah, Efren doesn't want to take any chances here, and Efren's got all these weapons in his arsenal. Not only can he run out from anywhere, but he plays the best safeties of anybody, and he kicks the balls better than anyone.
Well, it's a good escape by Francisco, but you have to think that the chances of him coming back to the table with Efren in this form are slim.
Nice opening here for Efren. He's got to gently roll the one ball in the corner pocket and let the cue ball just drift back up towards the middle of the table.
Yeah, he was just looking there where he wants to leave the white for the 2, and it seemed to be by his stroke there. He'd like to use the cue ball pretty much where it is now.
I'm surprised if he draws this ball. I think he just needs to roll it in with center ball. We'll know as soon as he gets down on the shot, John.
Often see Efren just do a little cue action in the air, which is mimicking what he wants to play next.
You're right, he's drawing the ball back. Just means he can hit it a little bit firmer. Oh, it's a kill shot. They call that a kill shot. He uses low English, makes the cue ball dive. It's a little more secure way of pocketing the ball. Nobody does it any better than Efren.
Worked perfectly for him there. Nicely on the 2 into the side. Chances of Francisco getting back to the table, Jay?
Not good. Only difficult ball Efren's got is the 6, tied up against the 7.
However, if he can get nice and straight on the 5 and just stun the cue ball, leave it where the 5 is, he's got a perfect shot on the 6 into the centre bag. So the 5 really helping his positional play onto the 6.
You called it exactly right, John.
Just these 5 balls for a place in the final of the 1999 World Pool Championships. He hasn't shown his best form throughout the whole tournament, only when he needed to. That's the sign of a true champion.
I feel sorry for whoever he plays in the finals, I'll tell you. They're in for a long afternoon. Or night, as the case may be.
Well, he'll be up against either Ho Ping Chang or Fong Pang Chao, that all-Taiwanese clash in the second semi-final coming up right after this match. Both of those players very accomplished, but I think you'd probably have to say that Efren would be going into that final as favourite. Just these 2 balls to win the semi-final of the Philippines.
Come on, baby.
An absolutely incredible match is now over. Efren Reyes in scintillating form beats his fellow Filipino Francisco Bustamante 11 racks to 4. There was a